Giraffes can't dance. Gerald was a tall giraffe whose neck was long and slim, but his knees were awfully bandy and his legs were rather thin. He was very good at standing still and munching shoots off trees, but when he tried to run around, he buckled at the knees. Now, every year in Africa, they hold the jungle dance, where every single animal turns up to skip and prance. And this year, when the day arrived, poor Gerald felt so sad, because when it came to dancing, he was really very bad. The warthogs started waltzing, and the rhinos rock and rolled. The lions danced a tango, which was elegant and bold. The chimps all did a cha-cha with a very Latin feel, and 8 baboons then teamed up for a splendid Scottish reel. Gerald swallowed bravely as he walked towards the floor, but the lions saw him coming and they soon began to roar. "Hey, look at clumsy Gerald," the animals all laughed. "Giraffes can't dance, you silly fool. Oh, Gerald, don't be daft." Gerald simply froze up. He was rooted to the spot. "They're right," he thought. "I'm useless. Oh, I feel like such a clot." So he crept off from the dance floor and he started walking home. He'd never felt so sad before, so sad and so alone. Then he found a little clearing and he looked up at the sky. "The moon can be so beautiful," he whispered with a sigh. "Excuse me," coughed a cricket who'd seen Gerald earlier on, "but sometimes when you're different, you just need a different song. Listen to the swaying grass and listen to the trees. To me, the sweetest music is those branches in the breeze. So imagine that lovely moon is playing just for you. Everything makes music if you really want it to." With that, the cricket smiled and picked up his violin. Then Gerald felt his body do the most amazing thing. His hooves had started shuffling, making circles on the ground. His neck was gently swaying and his tail was swishing round. He threw his arms out sideways and he swung them everywhere. Then he did a backwards somersault and leapt up in the air. Gerald felt so wonderful. His mouth was open wide. "I'm dancing! Yes, I'm dancing! I'm dancing!" Gerald cried. Then one by one each animal who'd been there at the dance arrived while Gerald boogied on and watched him quite entranced. They shouted, "It's a miracle! We must be in a dream! Gerald's the best dancer that we've ever seen! How is it you can dance like that? Please, Gerald, tell us how." But Gerald simply twizzled round and finished with a bow. Then he raised his head and looked up at the moon and stars above. "We all can dance," he said, "when we find music that we love." Hi, so today we are going to have a go at writing a story. Now you can choose to come along with me and you can choose to write a similar story, or you can watch and do your learning from it, maybe plan your story at the same time, and then you could have a go at writing your story afterwards. I read the story Giraffes Can't Dance this week and I am going to base my story around this one just because I think that it makes it easier to write a story if you have something to base it on. Now, you can choose to go about that any way you want. So you could base it on like a traditional tale and follow the story pattern of that. You could use the story mountain type of planning, which I am going to use. So with this one, it's quite busy because I've already used it, but with the character description and setting, and then build up, problem, solution, and then ending or resolution, you could just build your own story around that, and it could be anything you wanted. If you wanted to do that, then I would suggest that you start with your characters first and your setting. So think about where you want it to happen and who you want to be there, and try and build up like as much information about those characters and the setting in your mind as you can, and have that down on your plan. Then pick your problem. What's the thing that's going to go wrong in your story? And then from your problem, you can build up and you can solve your problem. And then the ending or the resolution, I just like to put that in because I think it's always nicer to end a story not smack bang after the problem has been solved, but something else happens. Generally, for me, I much prefer ones where like the ending is like a happy ending. So that's what I would choose to put in. But I wanted to show you today how you could use both of these things. So how you could use the story that you already know or that you've heard, and you could use the story map process with the story mountain to help you write a story. Now, you will need something to write on and something to write with. If you don't have those things, pause the video, go find them, and you'll need something that you can write at length with. So either a piece of paper that is double-sided, or a couple, or a big expansive space. It's not just sentences. We are going to try and write the entire story. Now, I don't have, because my writing is so big, I don't have a board that is big enough. So I'm actually going to type as we go in order to keep track of the story that we're writing. And I have already put some time into planning my story out. So if you are writing your own story, then you will need to spend some time planning it and consider exactly what it is that you want to write. If you've done some practicing of planning stories, you could use one of your story plans and you could use it that way. That would absolutely work. What I chose to do was use the story of Giraffes Can't Dance and then change the characters. So in my story, I chose for it not to be a giraffe that couldn't dance. I thought it would be really nice if it was a flamingo that couldn't dance. And then in which case the setting for me would still be sort of like jungle setting, and there would be a lake because of the flamingo. And then if flamingo went back to their lake, then I think that a bird character that lived near the lake would be a nice character to sort of take the place of the grasshopper in the story to help solve the problem. In terms of the other animals, I could quite happily keep all of them the same. I did look to change some of them. So when we were talking about the animals having a dance, I wrote down that the zebras might jive and the monkeys might salsa and the tigers would tango, and even the frogs could hopscotch, because the frogs live in the same like lake, in the same area as the flamingo does. So that would sort of exacerbate, that's a good word, it would make worse those feelings of not being able to do it that come from the flamingo. So I sort of toyed with a few ideas there, and I also came up with some description for the flamingo and for those other animals, and played with the ideas of whether they would be, you know, kind or unkind, and where I wanted the story to go. Now, because I'm using this, the other animals sort of aren't particularly kind, and so I decided to stick with that. And the problem is that flamingo can't dance like all the others can at the dance, and they all laugh. So flamingo goes home, goes back to the lake, and then the bird comes and helps flamingo see that actually they can dance too. And I thought maybe rather than the sound of the swishing sound of the breeze, which is what Gerald could dance to in Giraffes Can't Dance, I thought maybe it could be the water. So it could be the splashes and the flip-flops and the sway of the water that the flamingo could dance to, because it makes sense in terms of their home and where they spend their time, so what they would be most accustomed to. And also it would be logical that lots of the other animals wouldn't dance to that because it's not where they spend lots of their time. So I did give that a fair bit of thought. And what I also they kept the end of the story the same, where the flamingo will go back and show all the other animals the dance, and they'd all be really impressed and that they would clap. And I did question whether or not I would want them to apologise, whether I would want them to say sorry in the story, or whether they would just be, they would clap and the flamingo would feel better. Not 100% sure about that yet. I can always play with that when I get there. And then the other thing that I did was I went through and in black I made some notes about grammatical things that I was going to try and include in my writing, because at the moment we're still trying to practice our writing, we're trying to make it the best that it can be, and therefore we know that we need to include lots of those different things in it, but that can be really difficult when we are just writing a story for fun. So I put in here that in my first bit, because I was going to be doing description, it would be perfect for adjectives and therefore for commas. If I use two and put a comma in between them. And I also thought it would be really nice maybe to start my sentence with a story so I could engage with the reader. And then in the next bit, I thought that actually that would be a great bit for adverbs, maybe for like a when where sentence starter, and then that would get me a comma too, and also a great use of possessive apostrophes because the dances belong to the animals, so I can show off that there. And then maybe in that problem bit I could use short sentences for effect rather than trying to extend my sentences, and then in the solution I would definitely try and get the conjunctions in there. If I'm going from short sentences, I would want it to feel different, so I could get conjunctions in there and extend those sentences. And then obviously there are the basic things like capital letters, finger spaces, full stops, all of those things as well. Now sometimes I write them up on a board, I write a list and then I keep that as a check, and that is a really useful way of doing it. But I think for today we will just get into the actual writing of our story. So if you're ready to begin, let's see how much of a story we can write in about 6 minutes. So let's find our blank page up, and then we are going to start by describing those animals. So for me, I was going to have a flamingo and it was going to be set in the jungle. So I'm going to start with the question, have you ever wondered what the jungle animals do for fun? Now that's a question. So the reason I used it was to draw my reader in, to engage them, to make them think, oh yeah, I have, or let's find out. But because it's a question, it obviously needs a question mark. So have you ever wondered what the jungle animals do for fun? Well, once a year, all of the animals in the jungle, or in the, let's use some adjectives, that was my aim, wasn't it? All of the animals in the lush green jungle get together for the jungle dance. Now, jungle dance is the name of it, so they are proper nouns and therefore they need capital letters. So, well, once a year, all of the animals in the lush green jungle get together for the jungle dance. Everyone joins in, from the stripy, majestic tigers to the bouncy green frogs. Bouncy green frogs. But one animal is sad this year. Brilliant. But one animal is sad this year. And then I need a name for my flamingo, don't I? Maybe I could call him Freddie. Freddie Flamingo. Freddie the flamingo just couldn't dance. Oh, and we can keep it as a small sentence. I like the idea of that. And we've also got in a contraction there. We've used the word couldn't. Couldn't. Freddie the flamingo just couldn't dance. Now, I am actually going to put an exclamation mark there. Grammatically, it isn't, but as the author, I'm choosing to use it for effect. The day. Okay, so we've set the scene. We've talked about the fact that they live in the jungle. We've talked about the animals and the fact that everybody joins in with this dance. We've got some commas and a question and some adjectives in. So I'm happy to move on to the build-up part of the story, which is where all of the other animals go to dance. So on the day of the jungle dance, and remember jungle dance is proper nouns, so it needs capital letters. On the day of the jungle dance, Freddie was unsure of whether or not to go. He cleaned his beautiful, he cleaned his beautiful pink feathers. He cleaned his beautiful pink feathers, shook out his tail and decided to try. Oh, I like the idea of that because that will play back in later in the story. Absolutely. Decided to try. Everyone was there and having such a joyful time. The zebras did their jive and the monkey's salsa was fantastic. Brilliant. So the zebras did their jive and the monkey's salsa was fantastic. Monkeys, the monkey's salsa belongs to them. So monkeys, because it's all of them, and then the apostrophe after it, was fantastic. Even the frogs showed off their latest hopscotch. It seemed everyone had moves but Freddie. When Freddie got up to dance, oh brilliant, so we started a sentence with when something happened so we can use the comma. Perfect, that was one of the things we wanted to get in there. So when Freddie got up to dance, his legs felt too long and his feathers too heavy. And when he moved, or when he tried to move, and when he tried to move, his knees just turned to jelly. I like that. Always like a little bit of rhyming in anything. So when Freddie got up to dance, his legs felt too long and his feathers too heavy, and when he tried to move, his knees just turned to jelly. Oh, as he tripped and he fell. And again, I started a sentence with when something happened so I can put the comma after it. As he tripped and he fell, all of the other animals roared with laughter. Freddie cried all the way home. Brilliant. Well done. So now we are into that next section where we were going to try and keep all of the sentences quite short. Yeah, so Freddie cried all the way home. Tears dripped into the pond while the fish splashed and squished and a bird came from nowhere. There we go. There's our bird. He's a beard. Why are you crying? Asked the bird. Ooh, we've got a question in there. I like that. Why are you crying? Asked the bird. Freddie told him about the dance. And the bird told him to listen to the songs that were in his heart. He had always lived around the water, so the splashes and sploshes and swishes were his music. Freddie felt the music make him move. He swished this way and that way and forwards and back. That's always a nice one, isn't it? He swished this way and that way and forwards and back, and he threw out his pink feathers. To the sounds. To the sounds and the beat. Maybe I've just changed my idea. I thought maybe Freddie was going to go back to the party, but I think the party's going to come to Freddie. The jungle animals had come to say sorry because they didn't like to see Freddie upset, but when they arrived they were shocked to see such beautiful, we've used the word beautiful, haven't we, such magnificent dancing. They clapped and they cheered and they told Freddie that this must be his music because his dance was beautiful. They invited him back to the jungle dance so that he could show everyone. Every year after that, Freddie showed off his water dance and reminded everyone that they could all dance. They just needed to find their own music. Wow! It took us just over 6 minutes, but we wrote an entire story. We used the story map and we used some of the ideas from Giraffes Can't Dance, but we've written an entire story. If we can do it together, you can almost certainly do it by yourself too. Take the time to do your plan, to do your story mountain, and take the time to put in the grammatical features that you would like to include as well, because I found that really useful when I was going through. But don't be afraid to stray a little bit from your plan if something comes to mind. So for me, the ending of the story didn't quite work once I'd got Freddie dancing in the water, so I just changed it slightly. Wow, we did an incredible job today. I bet you could write your own stories now too. Whatever you do with the rest of your day, have a great one. Bye-bye. Hi. So today we are going to have a look at equivalent fractions, and that sounds much more complicated than it actually is. So what we're looking at is equivalent means the same, so we're looking for fractions that are the same. So first of all, when we talk about a fraction, there are a few things that we need to remember. This tells me, the bottom number tells me how many bits to split the shape or the number into. The top bit tells me how many of those bits I want or need, and this just means of, so one of two equal parts. And it's always really important to remember when we're talking about fractions, we are always talking about equal parts. So if we were using this as an example, so I am going to draw two circles. I am going to split one into 2 sections and one into 4 sections. Now currently, at the moment, this is what I have. I have none of 2 equal parts and none of 4 equal parts. If I were to colour in this, then I would have 1 of 2 equal parts. Now, if I were to colour in this, then I would have 1 of 4 equal parts. But if I were to colour in this as well, then I would have 2 of 4 equal parts. And can you see? I have the same. So 1/2 and 2/4 are equivalent. They are the same. So whether I have 1/2 or I have 2/4, I actually have exactly the same thing. In the same way as if I have 2/2 or 2 or 4/4, I have the whole thing. Now this one actually works beautifully as a representation for me showing you lots of different equivalent fractions. So I think we'll start there. So can you draw 3 circles? Can you split 1 into 2 equal sections, 1 into 3 equal sections, and 1 into 4 equal sections? Don't colour anything in. Start each fraction with a 0 on top because we have 0 parts, and then fill in the bottom with how many equal parts we have. So here we have 2, here we have 3, and here we have 4. If I want to create an equal fraction for each one, then I'm going to have to colour in the equivalent of the whole thing. So for the first one, I have to colour in 2 parts. So I'm going to get rid of my 0. I'm going to add a 2. For this one, I had to colour in 3. So I'm going to get rid of the 0 and add a 3. And for this one, I had to colour in 4. So I'm going to get rid of the 0. I'm going to add a 4. So 2/2, 3/3, or 4/4 are all equivalent fractions because they all mean the whole thing. Now, in actual fact, we could continue this pattern on without drawing them necessarily. We don't need to, but this is the easiest one to remember as an equivalent fraction, because if it's the same over the top at the top as it is at the bottom, it means the whole thing. So in actual fact, all of these on the board here are equivalent fractions, and we could go on and on. All of these are equivalent fractions because they all mean a whole, and we could go on and on and on and on, and we would end up with an awful lot of equivalent fractions because they all just mean the whole thing. There are also lots of different ways to show half. So, and this is the easiest way for me to introduce you to the idea of equivalent fractions. So this here is half. It's 1 of 2 equal parts. If I had something that was, I'm not going to use a circle anymore, I'm going to use a rectangle because that will be easier for actually colouring and splitting. So if I have a rectangle, and if I split my rectangle into 10 equal parts, how many of them will I have to colour in order to have half of it coloured in? I could do it one of 2 ways, but I think the easiest way to do that is probably just to colour in that top row, and then I would have half coloured in and half not coloured in. That's definitely half coloured in, isn't it? And then I'll check, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 over 10, 5/10, 5 of 10 equal parts is exactly the same as 1/2. And can you notice that in actual fact, that is half of my number. So 5 add 5 equal 10, 1 add 1 equal 2. And so we can use that little rule to help us find loads more equivalent fractions. So let's draw some shapes and let's have a go at seeing if we can make some other equivalent fractions and find some other halves. So can you draw me a circle and split it into quarters? And then can you work out how many of those quarters you would need to colour in order to have half of that shape coloured in? And then you can write that fraction underneath it. So would it just be 1 of them, or would it be 2 of them? You're looking for half of it to be coloured in, so it's going to match that half that we did to start with. Remember, there are 4 equal parts, so that goes on the bottom, and then however many we need goes on the top. this is my half. Look, it's coloured in. So I've got 2 of 4 equal parts. Let's draw a rectangle and split it into 6 equal parts. Yeah, 3 on the top, 3 on the bottom is probably a good enough way of doing that. Or you could just do it long ways. And then exactly the same thing. You know it's split into 6 parts. So the 6 goes at the bottom of the line. And then can you work out how many of those you would need to colour in order to have half of your shape coloured in? And then you can write that underneath it. Yeah, well done. So here, look, here's my shape. I've got 3 coloured in and 3 not coloured in. So 3 over 6, 3/6 is the same as a half. Okay, let's do the same with 8. So this time, can you build that? Kind of looks like a block of chocolate, doesn't it? Can you build that block of chocolate and then work out how many bits you will need? Remember, right, how many bits you divided it into first. So we divided it into 8 bits, didn't we? 8 equal parts. That goes on the bottom. And then how many of them would you need to colour in order to have half coloured in? That's going to go on the top. So you can do it first and then you can work it out. Here we go, look. I've got 4 coloured in, 4 not coloured in. It's out of 8. 4 out of 8 is the same as a half. So I can find equivalent fractions really easily. Now, I did that by exploring and by drawing, but I actually could have done it mathematically as well because I spotted a pattern. And what I noticed was that if I'm doing half, then the number on the bottom is double the number on the top. So if it's 1 on the top, then it's double on the bottom, it's 2. So a half is the same as another number. So if I wanted to find a half that is equivalent and I'm going to cut it into 8 equal parts. If 8's going on the bottom because it's 8 equal parts, then how many bits will need to go on the top? Yeah, 4, because the bottom number is double the top number. So it's 4. What about then if it is 8 on the top, for example? What about if I've got 8 here? What's double 8? Yeah, well done, 16. What about if it's 10 on the top? Then it's 20 on the bottom, well done. What about if it's 50 on the top? Then it's 100 on the bottom. So in actual fact, we can get really quite high trying to find half of a number, and we can do it mathematically. All of these mean the same. The bottom is double the top, and they all mean this. In terms of what we draw, if we were drawing half and we just split it into 2 bits, then it would look like this. And it would look like this whether I'd only split it into 2 bits or whether I'd split it into 100 bits. Because if I'd split it into 100 bits, this would be 50 of them. Or if I chose to do it like this and I coloured in half of it that way, exactly the same. That's what it would look like, whether it was just 1 or whether it was 4 8s or 8 16ths or 10 20ths, whatever it might be, it would be the same. Those things would be equivalent, okay? So they would be the same. So 2/4 is the same as a half, 3/6 is the same as a half. The bottom number is just doubled. There are other numbers that work the same for it, although it is trickier, but I could find other numbers that are equivalent. For example, to a third. So here is my third. So 1 of 3 equal parts. Here we go. And then I'm going to do it again, but I'm going to split my rectangle into 3 because the rectangle one is easier for me to show when I come to do an equivalence. So there's my third. We did it like this, but we could also do it like this. And then I'm going to do it where I split my rectangle into 9 equal parts rather than 3 equal parts. And this time I want to colour a third of it in. So I'm going to colour 1 in, 3 in. And in this case, I will have coloured 3/9 because, can you see, look, all I've done is built this from this. So this is a third here. And then I've just put other bars with 1/3 coloured in underneath them. And so my 1/3 is the same as 3/9. So I could also do, I could just build 2 lines together. So I could have 2 lines of 3. And so I would have it out of 6 that it had been split into. And I would just colour 1 from each line inlet. And so I would have 2 6. So can you see that this is the same as this is the same as this, because this has the same amount coloured in proportionately. So this has 1 coloured in and 2 not coloured in. So for every 1 coloured in, this has 2 not coloured in. And the same here, for every 1 coloured in, it has 2 not coloured in. So I can find equivalent fractions for thirds, for quarters, for whatever it might be, by using that sort of method. And I could actually do that if I was trying to find, that's basically what we were doing when it came to finding halves. And I could do the same with quarters, because all I would do is in my bar, I know that for 1/4, I would have 1 out of 4 coloured in. So then if I wanted to find equivalent fractions going forward, I would draw my bar of 4, and then I would draw another bar of 4 underneath it, and I would colour 1 out of every 4 in. And so that has 8, so 8 goes on the bottom, and you can see that I've coloured 2 of them in. It's complicated, but you can practice and you'll get really good. It's good to spot things that are similar. It's just looking for patterns. Well done, you did a great job today. Whatever you do the rest of your day, have a great one. Bye-bye. Hi. So today we're actually using an experiment that I had already set up in last week's video. If you haven't seen it, it really doesn't matter. I'll give you a brief overview of what the experiment was and what we thought might happen. And then for today, the important bit, the focus, is to look at observations and drawing a conclusion. So the experiment, just in case you didn't see it, was all about cleaning coins. We looked at how to keep that experiment fair by making sure that each of the coins was the same type of coin. We discussed the fact that it couldn't be the same coin because I have 8 containers. 1 coin would not split, but that we could use the same type of coin so that it should clean in the same way. And when we tried to pick 8 of the same coin, we did exclude this one because this one was shiny and the others were dirty. So we kept the coin the same. We kept the amount of liquid in each one the same. We kept the container that they were in the same. They were all glass, so nothing could be absorbed into the container. It would all do its work on the coin. And we kept the same length of time. So they've all been in there for the same length of time. Now it's time to take them out and see what happened. So we started by creating a table. We put the products and our predictions, and then we left a big old space for observation because we discussed the fact that when it came to observations for an experiment like this, our observations are just that. They are things that we can see. It's not numbers, it's not numerical, so we can't just leave a tiny space for a number because that wouldn't really help. And we could just have a clean or not clean, but that might not really help either, especially if we were trying to find which one was the best. So we will definitely have to put a little bit of time and effort into what we can see and therefore what we will write down. Now, I have some kitchen paper for this part of the experiment, but purely just to blot it off a little bit, just to stop the surface getting wet, especially the board, because the pen doesn't work very well if it is. So we had 8 different liquids, 8 different things that we were going to try to clean our coins with. We had water, fizzy water, washing up liquid, cola, bicarbonate of soda, salt, vinegar, and then hot water. So we had water just straight out of the tap. And then at the end, we decided that we weren't sure, but we thought maybe hot water might do a better job of cleaning than the water straight out of the tap, than tepid water. What I want to do is to get the coin out and to have a look at the coin, but to also have a look at the liquid that is left behind. And what we might also do is give them a little bit of a rub using the paper, the kitchen paper, just to see whether it's disturbed any dirt that might come off if we were to give it a rub. And then we will write down our observations. Now, we could get really carried away with this and we could go through, we could look at all of them, we'd take them all out, we could look at all of them, we'd give them all a rub, and then afterwards we would think, oh no, I don't know which one was which, I can't remember. I think it was that one that did that, but I'm not quite sure. So when we're doing something like this, it's super important to work systematically. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to start at the top of our list with the water one, have a look at that one, write our observations, and then move on. And we'll carry on until we get to the bottom. And then we'll be able to use our observations to draw conclusions. So it's all already set up for us. We just have to do this bit now. Let's start with that water one. So let's take that out and put it there. There's the water. Still looks fairly clean. I probably wouldn't want to drink it, but it looks fairly clean. There's our coin. Give it a bit of a rub. Nothing really comes off. And to be honest, the coin looks the same. What I might do with this is I might just leave it at the top here and then make a line of them going down next to each different one, and then I'll know which coin was which. So in my observation, I could write lots and lots. I could write there was no dirt on the cloth, the water looked clean, and the coin still looked the same. That would give me a really good indication as to which ones are better later on. The more detailed the observation that we can give, the better our conclusion will be. So, no mess on cloth. So there wasn't any dirt on the cloth. Coin looked the same and the water looked clean. Now I don't have to write that down in really big long sentences. I can just write it in note form as long as I know what it means, because that's what I will need to help me draw my conclusions. Then the next one was fizzy water. So I can tell this is fizzy water because I can see the little bubbles in it. If I pick it up, what do you think about the water? Yeah, I think it still looks the same. So the water looks the same. No dirt. And the coin looks very similar. I think it was a bit shinier before. So there's no mess on the cloth. The coin looks the same and the water is still clean. Not doing very well with cleaning our coins at the moment, are we? Okay, so we've made our notes, we've put our coin underneath. The next one was washing up liquid. So here's our washing up liquid. Now we did dilute it with a little bit of water. The dishwater doesn't look particularly, hang on, I didn't want to drop it. The dishwater doesn't look particularly dirty, look. Not really, I don't know. If I give it a little rub, it's a little bit dirty, but it more looks green, doesn't it? And the coin, still grubby. Okay, so the cloth was a tiny bit dirty, wasn't it? But it was mainly washing up liquid. But the coin didn't look very different, and the washing up liquid water just looked a really lovely green colour. Okay, what's up next? Ooh, cola. Now our prediction for the cola was that it would remove a lot of the dirt. It's obviously really difficult to tell in there. Although at the bottom, it does look like there's some bits, some sediment. So we could certainly use that as an idea there. Now this one, look, is definitely a bit dirty. And can you see there's like a line where I've just rubbed? This definitely has patches where the dirt has come off. So on here, I'm going to write patches where dirt was removed and sediment and a bit of dirt on the cloth as well. So I can write all of those things in my observations column, and then I can put that down there. Bicarbonate of soda was the next one. Oh, now this is, I'm not gonna lie, I can still feel the bicarbonate of soda on it. So I'm just getting to it. But can you see that this was so white before, and now it's like a really dirty, milky sort of colour. Let's give this a rub and see what happens. There's not so much dirt on there, but the coin is definitely a completely different colour. So I can write that down in my observations. So the water went from milky white to really dirty white. The coin looked much cleaner, but there wasn't much dirt on my cloth. So I can write all of that down in my observations. Milky white, too dirty white. So I can write all of those things down in my observations. Maybe we won't get all three to find the best one. Let's have a look. The next one then was the salty water. So let's have a look. I'll give it a rub. There's the water. It doesn't look much different. There's salt sediment in the bottom, but it's definitely salt rather than anything else. If I rub it, it does not make any difference. It doesn't bring any dirt off on there, and that still looks filthy. So I'm actually going to revert back to what I was writing a bit earlier on, in the fact that nothing really seems to have happened. The water is still the same, the coin is still the same, and the cloth did not get dirty. So again, the more I write down, the better my conclusion can be. Cloth not dirty. And then I just have two more left. So I have the vinegar. Now this is the same as the cola in as much as I can't actually see any change in colour because it is a brown. Interestingly, it feels really furry. And when I pick it up, look at the colour of that. It's totally different to how it went in. Now, the bottom of the coin, I can show you what colour it went in, because it went in like this. And the bottom of the coin was touching the glass, but this side wasn't. And you can just see the difference in the colour. So I can write down my observations for that. The coin is definitely cleaner. We couldn't tell a difference in the water, and it doesn't look dirty on my cloth, but we can tell a difference between the back and the front. And in actual fact, I'm going to put a star next to that because so far, that's the best one. And then the last one, we wanted to see whether there was a difference between hot water and cold water. And there's the water. Still looks fairly clean. I probably wouldn't drink it, but it still looks fairly clean. If I give it a really strong rub, maybe it's a bit shinier in places. It would take me a long time to make that clean. So let's write these down and then we can draw a conclusion. I think that I do have a conclusion because I think that the vinegar was by far the best one. It was the most acidic and it was by far the best one. Then I think that the next one was the bicarbonate of soda. That gave that a really good clean, and it is really shiny in parts. I think that if you were to leave it for a bit longer maybe, or maybe if you were to use hot water, or if you were to combine the bicarbonate of soda and the vinegar together, maybe that would bring them up super shiny. So my conclusion, to clean coins the best, you need something acidic or something that causes a reaction like bicarbonate of soda and vinegar. You did a great job of drawing conclusions and coming up with observations. Remember that if it's this sort of experiment, then an observation is important that it has lots of detail in it in order for you to be able to pick the best one or the most successful one, because it's not numerical, it's not something you can measure. You did a great job. Whatever you do with the rest of your day, have a great one.
Hello, Angel students. Today, I would like to ask you something. It's a very simple question, and a lot of the time the answer can be very simple too. So simple, in fact, that it can be answered using as little as just one word. It's a question that is asked often. This question is a very caring and kind question that shows concern for others. Sometimes it gets taken for granted because it is asked so often that the answer is almost automatic. So, having said that, on this occasion, I would like to make a suggestion. And that is that before you answer the question, you take a moment to really think about the answer. Now, it may only be natural that you automatically answer in your head, and that's okay. If that is the case, take a breath and take your time in really answering this question. In fact, what I will do is pause once I've asked the question so that it gives you some time to really check in with yourself before answering. And at this point, you may have even guessed the question by now. So here it is. How are you? How are you? How are you doing? Now that you have had a short time to really check in, I think this is the perfect opportunity to have a body scan. So for this, you don't need to do anything. You can remain exactly where you are so long as you are seated. Please do sit down for this, and sit down somewhere where you'll be relatively comfortable. If you would prefer to lay down, you can. That's completely optional. It's not necessary. Just remain seated and get comfortable. Closing your eyes is also optional. If you would prefer not to, then please just look down, lower your gaze, because that way you are less likely to be distracted or tempted to look at various things that might be around you. So get comfortable, relax, take your time, ease in, and take a deep breath. Just to get you comfortable and relaxed, wiggle your fingers and toes, and then relax. As you first begin to notice the rise and fall of your belly, as you breathe, I would like to draw your attention to your head, to the top of your head. Remain there for a few breaths before we begin making our way down. Focus your attention on the very top of your head. You may even try to look at it with your eyes closed. If you have your eyes open but you are staring down, just imagine the top of your head. Bring your awareness and attention to your brain. At this point, feel free to ask your brain a question. It can be anything. Perhaps you need a solution to something or a way to help you understand something better. Ask your brain anything you would like. Then give it time and have some patience, and you might be surprised that you get the perfect answer you have been looking for. Remember, your brain looks for the quickest and safest ways to do things. So get used to asking it the right questions and paying attention to everything around you, because your answer could come in any form. And as long as you are paying attention, you are likely to see. Bring your attention down to the eyes, your eyes that allow you to see all the beauty of the world, the colours, the nature, beautiful views, sunrises, our loved ones, and the ability to watch videos just like this one. Think of all the amazing things your eyes do just by giving you the ability to see. Your eyes blink for you, your eyelashes protect your eyes stay moist. Our eyes are so unique. They come in all different colours too. Now bring your awareness to your ears, allowing you to listen to me right now. You can hear your favourite songs, the birds that sing their own melody in the early dawn. Our ears allow us to hear the beauty that sometimes we don't always see. You may hear a bird sing, but you may not be able to see it. Think of the beautiful thoughts that you can hear, that nobody else can, only you. Now as we come down to your nose that gives you your sense of smell and the incredible gift of breath. Take a special deep breath right now, in and out through your nose. And while we're here, let's try something very quickly, if you wouldn't mind joining me. With your right hand, use your thumb to press down on your right nostril, so that you are only able to breathe through the left nostril. So take a deep breath in through the left nostril and out. Then release that nostril. Use the little finger of your same hand and press down on your left nostril and take a breath in and out of your right nostril. Release and breathe as normal. Bring your awareness and attention to your mouth. Your mouth that you use to speak with, eat with, and hydrate your body with. Think of all your beautiful, gorgeous teeth that you take such good care of protected by your mouth. And before we move on, please do me a favor and smile your biggest smile. No one is watching, don't worry, just smile. Smile because you can. As we flow down to your throat, where your voice box resides, giving you the power of sound. When you speak or when you sing, your very own unique vibrational frequency of sound can be heard. As we focus now on the outside of the throat that is protected by our neck, gently let your head lower to the left as you stretch your neck slowly, 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 and hold. And gently and slowly back up to the center. Now allow your head to gently lower, slowly, slowly, slowly to the other side. And again, slowly and gently return to the center. Now we come to your shoulders. And I want you to notice if your shoulders are slightly hunched and up high anywhere near your ears. If they are, please relax your shoulders. Drop them away from your ears. And as you go on after this session today, from now on, if you notice your shoulders hunch a lot, be mindful to always lower them if and when you notice this happening. Scanning the right arm from the shoulder, down your arm to your elbow, from your elbow to your wrist, rotate your wrist. And then into your hand, stretch your fingers far and wide apart as much as you can. Stretch, 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 and relax. Rest your arm. Scanning the left arm now from the shoulder, down your arm to your elbow, from your elbow to your wrist. Rotate your wrist. Then into your hand, stretch your fingers far and wide. As much as you can, stretch, 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 stretch. Wiggle your fingers and relax. Rest your arm. Your back. Your back keeps you upright and straight. So give it a helping hand sometimes and keep it straight when you're seated. If you're seated right now, please straighten your back. Sit up as tall as you can, as if a piece of string were pulling you up through your back to the top of your head. Once you're nice and straight, gently and slowly lower your head down until your chin is resting on your chest. And you should feel a nice stretch down the back of your neck. And gently and slowly lift your head back up to the center and relax. The string is no longer pulling you up. As you bring your attention and awareness to your heart, the great organ that keeps our blood pumping around our bodies. How are you? How are you doing? As we flow down to the stomach, where all your lovely food is digested, and other various organs filter toxins and cleanse the inner workings of your body. Isn't your body just an amazing machine capable of doing so much without you even having to ask it to do all those things? It just does it for you. You don't have to remember to give it any instructions. Everything is done automatically. Now we come to your right thigh, down to your knee, that gives you the ability and mobility to bend, walk and run. We move down to your ankle, feet, toes. Flex your foot up and back. Relax it down. Flex your foot up and back once more. And relax it down. Wiggle your toes. And relax. Let's do the same thing on the other side. As we come over to your left thigh, down to your knee, that gives you the ability and mobility to bend, walk and run, down to your ankle, feet and toes. Flex your left foot up and back and relax it back down. Flex your foot up and back once more and relax it back down. Now wiggle your toes. How are you? How do you feel? How are your thoughts? How does your body feel after that? Now feel free to remain in your relaxed state as you continue to listen to my voice. When you are asked, how are you? Is your usual, most common response something like, I'm okay, good, I'm fine? And those answers and responses are some that you may also be used to hearing. However, how about, I'm flowing with the abundance of the day, how are you? Or, I'm thriving, having the best thoughts, how are you? Or, I'm mastering my thoughts one day at a time, how are you? Or, I could really do with talking some things through today, how are you? It may feel as though this common question is asked all the time out of politeness or good manners, but you are loved. You are deeply cared for. So the next time someone asks, how are you? Instead of giving an automatic response, take it as an opportunity to check in with yourself and share how you are. You may not choose to share how you are with that particular person at that moment in time, and that's okay. I challenge you today to ask someone you love how they are, and also ask them to take a moment before answering. Don't accept if they say, I'm fine, I'm okay, I'm good, or any of those types of normal responses. Get them to dig a little bit deeper.
Hi everyone, here's the video for Andrew School. And let's do a quick exercise for the joint first. Raise the ankles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chins. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Knees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Chins. 1, 2, 3. Chins. 1, 2, 3. Relax your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Chins. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep your elbow on and reach as far as you can. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Change. One hand higher, one hand lower. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. For the elbow look back. 1, breathe out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Arms straight. Relax your shoulders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Chins. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Shoulders down, head up. Neck. 1. If you feel the neck muscle stretching, that's good. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Bring shoulders full circle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Chins. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Relax your back. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7. Okay. Let's practice a little bit strength training and basic punching kung fu stance. First one, push-ups. You can do on your face or palm, up to you. Keep your arms straight. Body straight. 1. All the way down. All the way up. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. normally we do a little bit push-up to prepare for the basic punch. So punching technique we do in the form all the time. So when you start, keep your foot point straight, clench your fist, L1 punch. Slowly, 1. When you clench your fist, breathing in. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. A little bit of power, breathing on. 1, elbow and punch. Same time like bow and arrows. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. When you do it, you can use a little bit more power. We just practice the movement. So now let's do a little bit of squats. So squats is good for your leg, but normally you can do a little bit of squat jump as well, good for explosion power. So just do it 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So the first Kung Fu stance. Keep your elbow on your knee, breathe in and breathe out. 1, change 10 times. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Because this Kung Fu form have a 2 main stance, the Mabu and the Kung Fu, yeah? This is the first one. And second one leg bent, one leg straight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, change. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. As walking through the routine together from the beginning. I'm going to start from here. Breathing in, hands up. Breathing out. Clench your fists. 1, like elbow strike. 2, first Kung Fu stance, marble, block, and punch. 2, hands up. 3, kick, elbow, punch, then feet together, right hand block, stand up, kick your right leg forward, punch your left hand, and stand, uppercut, then marble, left leg forward, both hand punch, and turn your body to the right, left hand punch, turn left, stand, right hand block, right knee up, left hand, and stop. Inhale and exhale. And do it one more time. Yeah. Inhale, hands up. hands in front of your body. Clench your fist, elbow strike. First Kung Fu stance, marble. Right hand block. Left hand punch. 1, 2, block, punch, step back, feet together, right hand block. 1, facing your waist. 2, block again, punch your left hand. From here, left leg stamp, and right hand uppercut. Then marble, first Kung Fu stance, both leg bend, punch. Then turn your body to the right, right hand block, punch your left hand. 1, 2, turn left. This time, right leg stamp. Then right knee up, left knee up. Same marble. So keep your both leg bent. Left face above your left knee, right face above your head. When you do by yourself, if you can put bottle water on your leg, not falling down, that's good. Then stop. Clench your fist. Same. Elbow back. And breathing in. And breathing out. Let's try one more time. Last time. This time, slightly a little bit power. Keep your body upright. Inhale. And exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then right knee, left knee. Okay, let's do 3 breathing exercises. 2 foot points. Foot down, head up, arm straight, fingers straight. Turn your hands to feel stretch. Breathing in through your nose. Collecting all the energy into your body to repair your body. Breathing out. Make sure you drop your shoulders, the elbow. Feel the stretch around the shoulders and neck. Hands pushing down to maximum. Imagine you're going to touch the floor. When you do by yourself, you can do 10 times. I'll just do 2 more times. Last one. Breathing in, collecting all the good energy into your body. And breathing out. Relax your shoulders, elbow, hands push all the way down. Okay.
Please like and subscribe so you can get more and more lessons.